With a feint, Cao Cao was able to split off Yuanshao's main force at Liang to relieve the siege of Bomar, where Guan Yu had killed Yan Liang. Yuanshao finally crossed the Yellow River in pursuit of Cao Cao's baggage train, where Liu Bei's unit was called upon. He led about 5,000 to 6,000 cavalry alongside Wen Chao over the river and past a ridge known as the Southern Slope until the baggage train from Bomar came into plain view. They split off from the ever-increasing number of soldiers from the river to raid the supplies, but 600 horsemen came charging up from concealment to attack them. Wen Chao was caught off guard and killed in action, so Liu Bei was forced to retreat. Yuanshao refused to leave a garrison behind and then took all of his forces to Yangwu, so a decisive battle became imminent. Liu Bei convinced him to lend some troops to go and assist Liu Pi, a former Yellow Turban who had just rose up in Runan. As he headed south, Guan Yu reunited with him around this time, then when they arrived at Runan, many men joined up with or supported Liu Bei, so he led them to attack Xuchang. Cao Ren was dutied with suppressing such developments in the south, and had observed these inexperienced rebels now dared to create trouble because they had Liu Bei's support. He intercepted their advance and targeted Liu Pi, killing him in battle and subsequently sending Liu Bei fleeing back to Yuanshao. He secretly still planned ways to leave, and was able to convince Yuanshao to form an alliance with Liu Biao. Zhao Yun accompanied Liu Bei and his followers when they were sent back to Runan to make contact with another rebel leader, Gong Du. They drafted a few thousand soldiers until Cai Yang led his troops to attack them, but he was defeated. Before killing Cai Yang, Liu Bei proclaimed, "I may be lacking in power, but you couldn't defeat me even if there were 10,000 of you. Only Cao Mengde would force me to flee." Indeed, Cao Cao turned back and attacked Runan after his decisive victory at Guandu, forcing Gong Du's men to scatter, where Liu Bei fled south. Mi Zhu and Sun Xian were sent as ambassadors to Liu Biao's court to arrange refuge, then he himself came to the outskirts to greet Liu Bei. He rejoiced in their deep lineage, treated Liu Bei as an honoured guest, and gave him some troops to command at Xinyi County. This made the neutral Liu Biao a target for Cao Cao's wrath, while men of talent such as Zhang Fei and Zhu Shu gathered around Liu Bei and received warm greetings. Liu Biao didn't like this conduct, so secretly guarded against him, and sent him to Bo Wang to fend off Xie Hadun, Ye Jin, and the other officers there. Whenever Liu Biao discussed the Yuan brothers' rivalry with Liu Bei, they invited the noteworthy Sun Xian in, but Biao still felt very upset and heartbroken. Liu Bei took advantage of the situation, however, as it kept Cao Cao busy in the north, so in his absence he planned various attacks. Xie Hadun led a resistance army against him, but during the Battle of Bo Wang, Liu Bei suddenly set fire to his camp and retreated along the narrow paths leading south. Against Li Dian's caution, Xie Hadun gave chase, then fell into Liu Bei's ambush, who retreated after he saw Li Dian's reinforcements coming to save their commander. When Liu Bei returned to life in Xinyi, he met with a hermit called Sima Hui, who schooled him on the current affairs of the world. What do Confucian scholars know about current affairs? Only outstanding talents such as Crouching Dragon and Young Phoenix have the best understandings. Zhuge Liang may have first approached Liu Bei around Fancheng. He demonstrated his wisdom by pointing out that the unlisted refugees in Jing could be registered as new residents, then used to collect taxes. Liu Bei no longer considered Zhuge Liang an ordinary person, so visited him a number of times, while Pang Tong was a sociable and mentoring appraiser at this time. Liu Biao was friendly towards Liu Bei, but still didn't trust him completely, and feared that he might attack him one day because he was more powerful. Liu Bei advised Liu Biao to attack Shou when Cao Cao left to conquer the Wuhuan, but he refused, and then later admitted, "I didn't adopt your proposal, and now I've lost this great opportunity." Liu Bei was sympathetic, however, as every day there were battles, so good opportunities can still arise. All Liu Biao had to do was respond accordingly. Liu Shan was born to Lady Gan after Liu Bei had been in Jing for about 7 years. He rose up to go to the toilet on one occasion and had noticed his thighs had gotten fat, so he sighed heavily and wept away, but when he returned to his seat, the old and sickly Liu Biao asked him about it. "When I was younger, I had never left the saddle, so my thighs were thin. Now I don't ride anymore and they have grown. The days and months pass like a stream and old age will come, but I have still achieved nothing. That's why I'm sad." Liu Bei went to visit Zhuge Liang for the 3rd time at his home in Longzhong to admit he had suffered setbacks but had not given up on his intentions, then asked what he could do. The Longzhong Plan was envisioned during their discussions, with its essential outline being to divide China into three so as to create a stalemate to deter and resist Tao. A crucial part for its success was to bridge an alliance with Sun Quan in the east, while other economic and administrative ideas were also detailed. The culminating clause was a two-pronged northern campaign from both states to re-establish the Han dynasty in central China, while also developing cordial relations with the non-Chinese tribes. Liu Bei was overjoyed after the meeting, becoming a closer colleague to Zhuge Liang after each passing day. He was once tying a bunch of oxtail hairs together when Zhuge Liang arrived, then immediately cautioned him. "General, you should aim to realize greater ambitions, or is tying feathers your aspiration?" He threw the feathers to the floor, admitting it was merely an idle pastime, then became further enthralled by Zhuge Liang's extraordinary character. The unhappy Guan Yu and Zhang Fei were told, "Now that I have Kong Ming, I am like a fish that has found water. I hope you stop making unpleasant remarks." Liu Biao saw that his illness was serious, and so thought about entrusting Jing to Liu Bei. "My son lacks talent, while the generals are not up to the tasks. After I pass, I want you to be in charge of the province." Liu complimented his sons as all being wise, then wished Liu Biao a speedy recovery as he left to tell his men. "Liu Biao treats me with generosity, so I couldn't bear following his proposal and people thinking I'm only acting towards my personal gains." Liu Biao's wife, Lady Cai, displayed clear favoritism towards the younger son Liu Kong, due to her niece's marriage to him. The older son, Liu Qi, wanted to escape family conflicts, but returned to his father's deathbed with concerns about the succession. He was denied entry to see his father by the Cai clan, then Liu Kong quickly succeeded him and surrendered to Cao Cao without informing Liu Bei. He heard rumours of the surrender, so sent someone to go and ask about it. By the time he got confirmation, Cao Cao was already at Wan. Song Zhong arrived, but he was met by a furious Liu Bei. "All of you act in such a fake manner and have lied to us from the start. Only when destruction is upon me do you dare to show your face. You must think I'm an idiot." He unsheathed his sword in order to quell his rage, but admitted it would be indecent to kill somebody so worthless, right before they were about to fall anyway. The officers and advisors were all summoned to discuss the next strategy, where Zhuge Liang advised to turn south and quickly seize Jing for themselves, but Liu Bei replied, "When Liu Biao was near death, he gave me responsibility for his sons, so I would have to betray his trust to save myself, which I'm not ready for. How would I face him after death?" Many went away to convince the noble officials of Jing to flee to Xiangling, while Liu Bei abandoned Fan Sheng to lead the civilians and his followers on an exodus to the south. When they passed by Liu Kong's city, he was afraid and would not move, but Liu Bei still wanted to see him. He told Zhuge Liang that he couldn't bear to do Liu Kong any harm, and then many of his supporters such as Zizhi came out from the gates to follow along. Liu Bei briefly took his leave for Liu Biao's grave, wept for the situation facing Jing, then continued south towards Liu Qi's garrison at Xiaku. The followers had grown to more than 100,000 by the time they got to Dangyang, so by now they were moving very slowly indeed. It's here that they met with Sun Quan's representative Lu Su, who had travelled day and night to discuss the formation of the Sun-Liu alliance. Liu Bei was friends with the administrator of Kangwu, Wu Ju, so wanted to go there next and join him, but Lu Su said, "Sun Quan is talented, kind and respectful. All the heroes from the south have already joined him, so you should establish connections with him. But you speak of Wu Ju, who has no talent and commands a distant commandery. He will soon be under another, so how can you entrust yourself to him?" Guan Yu was sent ahead via water route to Xiangling, where abundant supplies and weaponry were stored, so some of the followers advised Liu Bei, "You should move fast, then hold Xiangling. Although our force is large, we don't have much military equipment, so we can't stop Cao Cao if he comes." Liu answered, "In coping with these situations, one must always consider men as fundamental. Now that they are coming to me in droves, how can I reject them?" Along the way, Liu Bei's faith and loyalty became even clearer. Danger loomed ever closer, but his gentlemanly words didn't stray far from reason. When he recalled sentiments of how Liu Biao had treated him, he touched the hearts of all the soldiers from his army. They saw he cared deeply for their righteousness, so were ready to share defeat with him. Cao Cao caught up with the baggage train during the Battle of Changban, where Liu Bei fled with only scores of his closest followers. Zhang Fei led 20 horsemen to cover the retreat, but rumours quickly spread that Xiao Yun had betrayed them. Liu Bei threw a short spear to the ground in anger and disbelief. "Zilong will never abandon me." Indeed, He carried Liu Bei's infant son, Liu Shan, and protected his wife, Lady Gan, during the battle, then safely returned with them later. Upon reaching Xiaku, they took shelter of Liu Shi's 10,000 followers, who objected to his brother's surrender. They held on to Jiangxia Commandery in Xiaku, which allowed more of his father's former subordinates to escape. Zhuge Liang told Liu Bei that the situation had become critical, then pressed him to start an alliance with Sun Quan, so Zhuge was sent to follow Lu Su. Many men of Wu were afraid because they knew Jiang Dong would be Cao Cao's next target, and some turned pale when they heard that he was on his way, but Zhou Yu had a different opinion and helped convince their lord to go to battle. Zhang Zhao tried to convince Zhuge Liang to join Sun Quan, but he refused. Sun Quan is a good leader of men, so from what I can see he will make good use of my abilities, but not to their fullest extent. That's why I don't want to serve under him. This episode portrays Zhuge Liang's unique relationship with Liu Bei, and his firm loyalty as nothing would make him switch allegiances, not even if Sun Quan made full use of his skills, much in the way that Guan Yu refused to join Cao Cao, even though he treated him with exceptional grace. Such was the unwavering loyalty that Liu Bei inspired from those within his inner circle. When the diplomatic trip was going on, Liu Bei stationed his army at Fang, where he became deeply worried, so sent scouts out every day to see if any allies had arrived. When boats came into view, Liu had to double check that it wasn't the enemy, but the scout reassured him as he recognized Zhou Yu's ships. Bound by duty, he was unable to move from his post, but still wanted to meet with and assist Liu Bei. Knowing that it wouldn't be fair to ignore him after forming the alliance, Liu Bei left with Guan Yu and Zhang Fei on a single boat to go and meet with him. When they discussed the plan, Liu Bei doubted that he had enough men, but Zhou Yu insisted that his 30,000 marines would be enough for his plan to work, and that he only needs to watch him destroy Cao Cao. Liu Bei wanted greater discussions with more people involved, but Zhou Yu told him that he wasn't allowed to leave his post, and that Zhuge Liang would be here in 2 to 3 days. If he wanted to go and discuss things with Lu Su by himself, then he was free to do so. Liu knew of Zhou Yu's talent, but didn't think he could win so easily, so he refused to merge his 2,000 soldiers with the rest of the Wu army. After the allies had completely gathered, 50,000 Sun-Liu troops advanced by land and water. Liu Bei positioned himself where he could either advance or retreat alongside Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. Both sides clashed at the Battle of Red Cliffs, which concluded with a decisive victory for the allies after Cao Cao was pushed back to Nan Commandery. Following the initial shock, Zhou Yu and the allies led a lightly armed force to capitalize on the assault, but the northern army was thrown into confusion and utterly defeated. As Zhou Yu wrestled for control of Xuanling, he divided some of the area to the south for Liu Bei, who established his camp at Gong'an County. Then many of Liu Biao's former officers who were forced to surrender took this chance to rejoin him. He thought the lands he had were too small to safely look after all these people, so he received more commanderies from Sun Quan, then recommended that Liu Shi is appointed as Jing's new inspector. His rule in the region, centered at Jiangxia, was short-lived, as he died from sickness a few months after the Battle of Red Cliffs. After his death, Liu Bei laid his claim to the title and began to occupy much of Jing with it, taking control of the 4 commanderies south of the Yangtze with his relatively undamaged armies. He then adopted Liu Feng as his son around this time, as Liu Shan was still too young. Sun Quan's armies had suffered far greater casualties than Liu Bei's during the extended conflict, and the death of Zhou Yu in 210 resulted in a drastic weakening of Sun Quan's strength in Jing. On the other hand, Liu Bei's control in Jing provided him with virtually unlimited access to the passage into Yi province and many important waterways into Wu. Never again would Cao Cao command a fleet as large as he did at Xuanling, and never again would he get a better opportunity to destroy his southern rivals. This separation of southern China from the northern heartland foreshadowed a north-south axis of hostility that would continue for centuries. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.